Hi, my name is Peggy Cronin, and I teach at Bucknell University. I work in the Writing Center, and that means that I do a lot of one-on-one work with students, but I also do a lot of faculty development. And just because of who I am, I've been called on to do a lot of work around race, gender, sexual orientation, class, identity issues, basically. And so one of the things I've been most recently involved in is a 3-day retreat on whiteness, white privilege, and racial identity formation. And we asked people to write a racial memory narrative and bring it to this 3-day retreat. I won't go into all that right now, but what I want to talk about is the object that I brought for today that I use in that work, and that is a Tibetan singing bowl. And I use it in a variety of ways. One is just simply to call people together. So it's got a beautiful tone, and when we would ring it in the space, it meant for people to gather. It also might mean the beginning of an activity or the end of an activity. But one of the most important ways in which we used it was we also put it in the center. We were having really intense, sometimes difficult conversations. And there was a lot of resistance because at the school that I'm at, there are very few people of color. And at this retreat, there were a few willing and brave people of color who agreed to do this work and sit with a lot of white people for whom this work was new. And so we had that in the center for times when maybe the conversation was either moving too quickly, or we were glossing over something, or it got very emotional. And the response on the part of a lot of the white people, especially some of the administrators, was to fix it. What can we do to make Bucknell better? What can we do so this kind of thing doesn't happen? And we would invite people to ring that bell, to just sit with what was going on in the room. And that reminded me of what Sekou used to say, which is, America is in the room. It's not like Bucknell out here and these people out here and society. We're in the room, we're America. How are we going to deal with each other? And so people didn't ring that bell as often as I would have liked, but it was always there. And I think just the fact of that Tibetan bowl sitting there helped us sit through some hard moments with each other and not rush to closure. Because that rush to closure preempted the kind of creativity we need to find with each other to solve the problems we have at Bucknell, which is years and years of silence around identity issues and around injustice, really, and around institutional injustice. What people we're failing to realize is that good intentions on the part of white people are not enough, that the actual structures have racism built into them, and the American dream, as it is commonly bandied about, has racism built into it, and we were really trying to get at that. The reason for the Tibetan singing bowl is that it has this long sustain, and so in moments when we could ring it and really let that sound emanate. And I would say, let's not speak until that sound has totally dissolved in the air. It gave us a way of pausing and just sitting with what was happening in the room. And that was not always comfortable. And there were times when it wasn't really appropriate to use the singing bowl, when we just really had to sit with someone's tears or someone's resistance, or we had to ask questions about somebody's resistance. But it was a powerful 3 days. It was just a beginning. It was definitely inspired by some of the work that I had seen Sekou do and that I had participated in. We brought the America Project to Bucknell University, and that was a really, really important thing for many of us. It was something I worked on long and hard, and we finally got it to happen, and we got the money, and then Sekou died. And Latanya agreed to step in and play his role. So it still came to Bucknell. And that was a very important moment for me personally, as a teacher, as a writer, and as somebody who had to find a way to continue when I felt like we had lost some really important star. And now we have to do the work all of a sudden.